The Ticket and ticketfm.com.
Welcome back, race fans, to the finish line every Sunday night. I'm James Rowland. Join Bree, Marie, and me every Sunday from 7 to 8 p.m. on 93.7 The Ticket FM or theticketfm.com for the finish line. All the latest news for local and national motorsports, all in one place. 93.7 The Ticket FM.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
A smoke-free environment is the only way to fully protect from the dangers of secondhand smoke. That's why smoke-free policies are so important to me. Whether it's in my car, apartment building, or when I'm dining outdoors, there's no place for secondhand smoke or e-cigarette aerosol. Breathe easier knowing the facts. Visit smokefree.ne.gov. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it twice a day.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it in the morning and before dinner.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it, and share it with my doctor. Nearly 1 in 2 U.S. adults have high blood pressure. That's why it's important to self-monitor your blood pressure in 4 easy-to-remember steps. It starts with a monitor.
Now that I know my blood pressure numbers, I talked with my doctor. We're getting those numbers down. Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. Talk to doctor now and share it.
Be next to talk to your doctor about your blood pressure numbers. Get down with your blood pressure. Self-monitoring is power. Learn more at manageyourbp.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Heart Association, and the American Medical Association, in partnership with the Office of Minority Health and Health Resources and Services Administration.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids. First, I hold my hands out like they're on a steering wheel. Then I look over my shoulder. Next, I put it in reverse. Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Play ball! Pitch the perfect idea for a family outing or date night with tickets to the next Salt Dogs game. Nothing says summer fun like an action-packed evening at Haymarket Park. Come root for the home team with a hot dog and a cold drink. Plus, visit saltdogs.com to learn about special events and promotions, including group discounts. Don't miss out on the thrill and excitement of a Salt Dogs win. Visit saltdogs.com to reserve your tickets today.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it twice a day.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it in the morning and before dinner.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it, and share it with my doctor. Nearly 1 in 2 U.S. adults have high blood pressure. That's why it's important to self-monitor your blood pressure in 4 easy-to-remember steps. It starts with a monitor.
Now that I know my blood pressure numbers, I talked with my doctor. We're getting those numbers down. Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. Talk to doctor now and share it.
Be next to talk to your doctor about your blood pressure numbers. Get down with your blood pressure. Self-monitoring is power. Learn more at manageyourbp.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Heart Association, and the American Medical Association, in partnership with the Office of Minority Health and Health Resources and Services Administration.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. This is What's Brewing with Chancellor Brewington on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Chancellor Brewington, powered by the Teammates Mentoring Program.
All right, welcome in. What's Brewing with Chancellor Brewington? We got Chancellor Brewington on the Allo VIP line where they understand the importance of exceptional service with a local heart. You guys can join in 402-464-5685, Facebook, YouTube, X, Allo, Channel 961. If you want to put a face to the voice, Chancellor Brewington, how's it going on a Thursday night?
Man, it's going great, man. I'm blessed to be on the show tonight. Had a great week, wrapping the week up, obviously, with the work week tomorrow. But, man, it's going great. A lot of stuff to talk about. Wasn't able to be on the show Monday, Tuesday. A bunch of basketball stuff, some football stuff. Like, there's so many places we're going to go. We got a good show lined up.
Yeah, and then, I suppose we can start with what's going on right now before it gets too far away. We do got a Game 6. Thunder desperately trying to close it out versus the Nuggets. If they do lose, though, they still get Game 7 back home in OKC. Nuggets would have to travel on the road. What are you seeing in this one, Chancellor Brewington? In a Game 6, Thunder are currently down. The last time I looked by 10. It's still plenty of time left to go. 2 minutes in the first quarter.
Yeah, I think the Nuggets take this to Game 7. I really do. I think they take it to Game 7. I think Jokic has a big game. Maybe we see, the emergence of Jamal Murray. I think it's going to go down to the wire though. But I think this will be good for the league, man. You kind of have this gentleman's sweep with the Minnesota and the Warriors,
yeah.
and we'll talk about that, of course, because I have a theory about, not a theory, but just like some cool conversation around the Anthony Edwards kind of emergence, or what could be, and also what I think is going to happen legacy-wise if this does end up being like his run to the finals. But I think within this Nuggets series and this OKC series, it's cool, man. You get to see some young cats really emerge, and I think Jalen Williams has taken a jump in his game. Really had some really big moments this series. Mm-hmm. In the absence, not so much in the absence of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but more so like relieving some pressure. And it didn't really have to. It wasn't always there. I think it was Game 1 or it wasn't Game 1 because they won Game 1. I think it was Game 3 where Jalen Williams had a really big game and Shai had kind of an average night or a below average night. And it's just cool to see. That's what the playoffs is for. Like, you get to see, what your whole roster is made of. And of course, like, if I see Aaron Gordon buzzer beater tonight, like, I don't know, I'll throw my phone or something. Like, dude's just been playing ridiculous, not only last series, but this series. And if there's a night to have one, it's tonight. And obviously it would be, in 2 more nights, Game 7, if they end up winning.
Yeah. And I think that'd be 4 buzzer beaters in this playoff series alone, not series, but this year in the playoffs. He's been unreal. And that's what you need in the playoffs, though. We talked about it before, and you even asked me the question, give me the, I don't know how you phrase it, the irrelevant players that you're big fans of. Like, you need your quote unquote unsung heroes for these playoff games. And although we all know that Aaron Gordon is a starter for the Denver Nuggets, nobody realized how important of a starter he was for the Denver Nuggets until the playoffs get rolling and he makes those big time shots for them. That's what the Nuggets are going to need again. I don't know who it is, but they can't just rely on Jokic, because Jokic had 42 and they dropped their last game still. You need other guys to step up. Donovan Mitchell, the game he dropped 48 with the Cavs, they still lost that one as well. So you can't just have your superstars go off. That's the one thing we learn in these NBA playoffs, is that it's usually the team with the deeper roster, not just the biggest stars. Phoenix Suns, I think, are a big example of that as well, right? You get a bunch of stars on a roster. It doesn't necessarily mean you just go out there and win the championship. There's got to be some rhyme and reason behind the depth of that roster. And I think that's why the Nuggets are so good. Like, star-wise, you might not say they have the best talent, but they fit together really well. And they've had a lot of continuity, which is another part that gets lost all the time. And the Thunder have it. They're a younger group, but I'll tell you what, if they break through, the Thunder team is going to be a nightmare for years to come. Because they still got picks.
Yeah, and they're following a framework that's proven to win. And I think why teams don't follow it is because it takes time. Like, like it takes time to draft Chet and to...
Well, the GM gets fired, right? Like, you put together 3 losing seasons. If you take your picks and you just trade down every time, inevitably you get fired as the GM because you start stacking up losing seasons. And then whatever GM walks in there is actually gets the really fortunate. They get all these picks and a good team, and they get all the rewards for it. But it was actually the previous GM who got fired. That is the reason you have all those picks to begin with.
Yeah, and we talked about OKC's GM probably, I think it was last week. We just talked about
who he actually hasn't been fired. So if you want to do it the right way, OKC show some patience. It actually does work out.
And of course, I believe he's the one who came from the Spurs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's out of a proven model, and I think obviously like the game has changed a little bit, but building a team where you can operate 1 through, I mean, I'm looking at it. You got 10 guys that played last game, not this, obviously not this one, but the last one, OKC won. You got 10 guys who played, you know, the least of them playing 5 minutes. And I think that was more like matchup wise, but I mean, you got Alex Caruso come off the bench, giving you 13 and hitting 3 threes. Like, and you got Wiggins, you know, coming off the bench, like Wallace giving you 18 minutes. And these are good minutes, you know, like these are real good minutes. And I think OKC has shown a lot. I think also you still see how dominant Jokic is, and I know you're a big fan of him. And I think you kind of see some, I guess you see like holes in this team compared to the Nuggets team that won it all. I think KCP was such a big piece for the Nuggets, because you just look at like the 3-point game, like 3-point percentage last game. I mean, Aaron Gordon goes 1 for 5. Mike Porter Jr. goes 0 for 5. Jokic just has a nutty game, goes 5 for 7. Jamal Murray 3 for 13. Braun 2 for 8. So you depend so much on the 3 ball, and KCP added so much value to that team. And you get it a little bit with Braun, and you know, you add Westbrook, but he's kind of a hit or miss from deep, especially just the way Jokic plays, like spreads the floor, you know, guys are open in the wing, you know, the high and low game with him and Jamal Murray, like, you know, people collapse the paint, there's easy kicks, and like when they're not hitting shots, it's almost impossible for them to win games. And it just happened to be that last game Jokic was 17 for 25 in the paint, and so it kind of like it made the gap become much smaller. But if he didn't have that game, it would have been a bad blowout.
Yeah, and that's been the problem for the Nuggets, is like it has so much of it has to go through Jokic, and it is a rarity when they win a game and Jokic didn't go off in some sort. If you do think Nuggets run away with this one, Game 7, who do you got coming out of it and facing the Minnesota Timberwolves, who did knock out the Warriors?
Dude, I'm torn, bro, because can Nuggets beat this OKC team that's kind of clicking a little bit, like twice? And that's the question. Like, you can beat a team once, and I think the Nuggets will do that. I think they'll beat them tonight, and I think it will be a close one. But dude, I don't see it. I really don't see OKC losing twice. So I'm gonna go OKC takes this one away in 7. And I think. And then we got to talk about the Minnesota matchup with OKC. But first, who do you have?
See, I'm the opposite on this. I feel like even though, you know, the OKC would get it at home, I think if they drop this one, then Game 7 looks a lot scarier for them. You know, give me the proven, battle-tested Nuggets who have been through many Game 7s, who last year they unfortunately lost it. But I like them and their will a little more than I like the Thunder in a Game 7, because we've seen a lot of volatility with the Thunder. We've certainly seen it with the Nuggets, but not to the same extent. Where the Thunder, there's games where you just wonder, like, how in the world has this team even dropped a single game? And then you have other nights where they look like a young team. So I think if it gets to a Game 7, you'll see a little bit more of the version that looks like a young team than the team that only lost 14 games. So that leaves me with a Nuggets Timberwolves, and I mean, I think the Timberwolves are probably the favorites right now in the NBA playoffs that are left.
Yeah. So here's a funny conversation. And
I think we lost you there, Chancellor Brewington.
Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Sorry about that. So this Anthony Edwards conversation. So first round, he has Luka and LeBron, right?
Mm-hmm.
The clause or like the asterisk is that Luka gets hurt. Luka has stomachache first game, gets hurt in like the 5th game, and LeBron's 40 years old, right? Like legacy, like long term and 10 years from now. Like that's kind of the conversation, right?
Yep.
And then next series, takes on a Warriors team who's centralized, literally is all predicated on Steph Curry's success, right? Steph gets hurt, and it's kind of just easy winnings from then on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then so now, like, here's like a real test for not only the T-Wolves but Anthony Edwards, because I feel as if during those 2 series, like, you saw times, but you kind of saw like this is just a really good team. Like there's no, and you said this, and I was kind of on the fence, but watching them more, you're right, bro. It's like they're just a really good basketball team, and it's not really based on how well Anthony Edwards does,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I think I guess the conversation is like, how are we going to evaluate this run, especially if he goes and plays Jokic in the Western Conference Finals? I mean, he's going to face what, 3 top 10 players of all time on a finals run?
Yeah, you definitely make that argument. It's the thing for the Timberwolves and like Anthony Edwards is like the conversation keeps always going, like him being the face of the league is they got to win and they also got to stay on top of things. And that's where I'm at with Edwards, where it's just not consistent enough, where he is probably the most exciting player to watch, but it will be like, if you have watched the Timberwolves throughout the year, he's had games where he just isn't what you think the face of the league looks like, where yes, he's a really good player, but he is not, shoulders above everybody else out there. When he does have those moments, fantastic. He represents the league like I think everybody would want, just a really passionate basketball player. But you got to stay on top of that, because the other part of that is once you do win, can you maintain it? And that's the hardest part. Like, just ask Jason Tatum, who, and this isn't to take a jab at him after his injury, but even after they won the finals, like people weren't fully convinced on Tatum because he had some of those lackluster playoff games. Anthony Edwards would be in that same camp. Unless, when it came to the actual NBA finals, he went on a tear and was dropping 30 plus points. But, not only do you have to win it, then the hard part is, can you maintain it afterwards? And Jokic, he's been able to maintain the numbers and all the stats. Just can he maintain the championships with it? And that's, I feel like the hardest part of becoming the actual face of the league is we've had a lot of guys come up with some crazy stats, haven't been able to maintain it. And that's, the easy part, quote unquote. The hard part is like, can you maintain getting rings on top of everything else, which seems borderline impossible unless you got a great, all-time coach alongside with you as well, that we won't realize it until it's all said and done.
Yeah. And the Jason Tatum situation is so unfortunate. Thank goodness for the team at the last game in their game, but I don't see them coming out of the next series. I think Knicks ended, but it's just unfortunate, man. You want to see him win so bad. Ever since he came to the league, and where this goes now, and we talked about the tax and the salary tax and all these things building up to this. And if they don't get it done now, you can almost guarantee that the roster kind of in some way gets dismantled.
Yeah, definitely gonna have to hack off a limb. It's gonna have to be something major. As apologies, I got my eye on the Denver Nuggets Thunder game. 35-29, Nuggets leading it. It's back and forth though. It should be a good one. Yeah, it is interesting with the whole Celtics series, because now with Jason Tatum, you really didn't want to have your hand forced to break up this roster, but now you got an even tougher decision. It was easy to do when everyone's healthy. Now when Tatum goes down hurt, you got, damaged goods. And I mean that in the nicest way. It's just, if you do choose to move on from him, like obviously there's going to be a tax on it where you're going to have to write off, because you're handing over a guy who's going through the most significant injury he's had in his career. And then it's like, do you really want to move on from Brown then, knowing that he's at least your healthier guy? You're not sure what you're going to get back with Tatum. Celtics window, Is it closed already? I'll ask you that.
If man, like you don't come around this 2 times, man, in a 20-year span, like, and you did, and really you did. Like you had a terrific team with KG, Paul Pierce, Rondo, and that Ray Allen, and that whole squad, and then you came across it again with, I mean, all these names. I mean, we're going to look back and be like, oh my gosh, because I think these players are going to probably go on to have really great careers on other teams.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if you come across it this nice, having 2 of the best wings in the league on the same team, along with probably, you could make an argument, the best quote unquote role player, which Derek White has turned into this 6-man to a starter to one of the more slept on players in the league. And then you got Porzingis off the bench, and
Drew Holiday, one of the best defensive guards in the league.
Right. Peyton Pritchard. Like you built this squad, you built this roster, and for you not to get at least 2 ships out of it, or at least I just need 2 finals trips.
Mm-hmm.
3, at least 3 or 2 or 3 finals trips, depending on, kind of how long you have these players. But you're going to kind of look back, because I have a feeling that Derek White's probably going to be up for a max contract here soon. And, or something close to it. Jaylen Brown's going to, have to make some decisions and see if, Boston is valuing him, and who knows what's going to happen with Jason Tatum, and, what's his face? Peyton Pritchard's, going to be worth some money after this year. And who knows what, Al Horford might be, it might be shutting it down. And so it's just unfortunate, man. I wanted to see it happen. Like I really did, but it still could, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah, as those guys got their game tomorrow. Real quick on it, who do you got tomorrow between Knicks Celtics? 3-2 is the series.
I think Knicks close it out, man.
Yeah, I think so too. And if that's the case, it's just it's going to be one of those groups to have like the most success with 0 accolades to show for it. They'll have 1 finals ring, but like nobody's really going to remember how dominant they were regular season wise. Like it's just years where they were running through the entire East like it was nobody's business, just to get to the playoffs and lose dramatically in a game 7 somewhere along the line. Like all of that, no one's going to remember how good they were. They're just going to remember the 1 ring. So it's a brutal situation for the Boston Celtics, because they did pay a bunch of money, and they are currently paying a bunch of money for that roster. And it just, you have your best player go out at the worst possible time. Second round in the NBA playoffs. It just, puts a bad taste in your mouth when you have by far the most expensive roster and you get 1 ring out of it. You feel like you're just starting the dynasty and you're already off the tracks before it got going. So it's a brutal situation for the Boston Celtics. Can they recover from it? I do think it's a different chapter, but to use this team still, championship contenders next year.
Oh, I mean, it's the state of Jason Tatum's injury, how he bounces back, a bunch of unknowns there. And then it's like, where do you, God, it's just, my mind goes to guys are worth more after. I mean, imagine if Derek White forces a game 7 in like his own will, and he wills his team there, or Peyton Pritchard has a 30-point game. Like, teams are watching this and be like, how can this guy fit in my system?
Mm-hmm.
And, we've talked about the numbers, and if they can maybe get some picks or maybe get some capital free, and, and they kind of realize that Tatum might not be back in time, and not that they're going to purposely tank, but I don't know, man. I don't know how it fits. I don't know how it fits like in like the 5-year long run, like, because you look at like 2020 and thought about this Celtics team. I think at that time you probably had Kyrie wasn't on there, but you had a really solid team. I think they lose to who do they lose to? I think the Bucks in the playoffs or something like that.
Yeah,
but then
I think that's right.
Then you keep moving on. They get progressively better, and I think it wouldn't be crazy to say like they peaked, like they just hit their peak, and that was what it was last year, Yeah,
it was just crazy because it's a young team, right? Like those guys are young. Like that is Jason Tatum and Brown. They're still very young players. So maybe a lot of this conversation is wasted breath. And, next year, Tatum, he'll come back from his injury. Yes, they got to move some players around, but they're okay with paying the luxury tax, and they plug right back into it a year from now, and they're flirting with the NBA Finals again. Then a lot of this, is just wasted breath, but it is, just a little bit alarming that the ride could be over before it feels like it even started. One ring, maybe it's good enough. It's all worth it, but you were certainly expecting more is the tough pill to swallow within all of that. That being said, we haven't talked about this yet, and I'll ask you this, and then we can throw it to break. NBA lottery happened, and somehow the Mavericks got the number 1 overall pick. I want to ask you, Chancellor Brewington, do you think the NBA lottery is rigged, or, sometimes crazy things happened, that's why it's the lottery?
I think we're like probably on the same level of like conspiracy-ish. Like, I guess I don't write them off completely, and I think you're kind of in that same ballpark. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, this one I'll tell you straight up though, I write off completely.
Really?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, maybe if you could point to me a clear example where it definitely happened, I'd give you more weight, but just so hard. It'd be so hard, I feel like, to rig this one and nobody to know about it. And there really isn't anything there to prove that it has been fixed. So I've never given any weight to it.
Yeah, I don't really know. I guess is it like, so the conspiracy would be like, this is like a compensation for the Luka trade?
Yeah, somehow.
And like it's the league. So it's like the league giving like a handout.
Yep.
Is that like the conspiracy?
Basically, a pat on the back for getting rid of Luka, because the Lakers are the breadwinners of the NBA, and send him over there and we'll give you a Cooper flag.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, you're going to have that's going to be a long day. Cooper flag, AD, and I mean, if Kyrie comes back and play, like you could make a team out of that. I don't know how long, your vets are going to stay around to be there for Cooper Flag's development. Because I mean, I don't think he's going to be a first round, first team All Pro, his first year. But I think he's going to turn into something pretty special. I mean, you watch the tape, him and even Ace Bailey, the other guy, he might be drafted top 2, top 3. But I mean, those are special talents. They're going to turn to something great. But even that situation, it's like you might be missing the window with AD and Clay and Kyrie. Like it's just kind of is what it is,
Or maybe he's the last piece of that window. And also shout out Bryce Williams, who seeing, maybe early second round, the Husker himself, maybe get drafted around there. But I want to talk to you about the Mavericks and Cooper Flag. We'll do that next. What's Brewing? Chancellor Brewington. We got Chancellor Brewington on the Allo VIP line. Harrison Arnett's back at the Ticket Studio. Don't go anywhere.
Hi, this is Pastor Tom. Did you know there's a place kids can seek out help when they're away from home and something goes wrong? They find themselves in a difficult spot or even a dangerous situation. Maybe another child is bullying them or a stranger is following them. Perhaps on a date and things just go bad. In Lincoln, here's where they can find help. It's called Safe Place. Safe Place is a national program for children taking place in thousands of cities across the United States. The People City Mission is sponsoring this program in our community and has set up a number of businesses, fire stations, schools, and nonprofits around the city to become safe locations where kids can seek out help. They just need to look for the big yellow sign that says Safe Place on it. Then go inside and ask for help. We will be quickly connected to them and ensure they make it back home or to whatever resources are needed. If you'd like to find out more about Safe Place and ways in which you can get involved, just go to pcmlincoln.org. Remember, when we all do a little, we change a lot.
Welcome back, race fans, to the finish line every Sunday night. I'm James Rowland. Join Bree, Marie, and me every Sunday from 7 to 8 p.m. on 93.7 The Ticket FM or theticketfm.com for the finish line. All the latest news for local and national motorsports, all in one place. 93.7 The Ticket FM.
Part of what makes Nebraska great. Each year, the Step Forward Awards honors volunteers from across the state who serve their communities in outstanding ways. We hope you'll join us this year at the Step Forward Awards luncheon on October 27th in Omaha. Help us thank volunteers with a celebration to remember. To register, visit serve.nebraska.gov and click Register Now. We hope to see you there. Paid for by Serve Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them?
By their clothes,
their age,
the way they speak. Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it twice a day.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it in the morning and before dinner.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it, and share it with my doctor.
Nearly 1 in 2 U.S. adults have high blood pressure. That's why it's important to self-monitor your blood pressure in 4 easy-to-remember steps. It starts with a monitor.
Now that I know my blood pressure numbers, I talked with my doctor. We're getting those numbers down.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. Talk to doctor now and share it.
Be next to talk to your doctor about your blood pressure numbers. Get down with your blood pressure. Self-monitoring is power. Learn more at manageyourbp.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Heart Association, and the American Medical Association, in partnership with the Office of Minority Health and Health Resources and Services Administration.
There's no better way to spark a child's imagination than to get lost in the adventure of a good book. I'm Jenny Benson, president of NSEA. Working together, parents and teachers can help every child succeed. You can help by reading to your child and let your child read to you. Encourage reading in your home and make it a priority. Make reading fun and a time that you and your child look forward to spending together.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association on this station.
Okay, kids, Dad's gonna teach you how to dance. First, spread your feet apart. Then, pump your knee, nod your head, shake your hips, and bite your lip ever so slightly. Now, with one hand in the air, point at people with the other hand. I call that the rock star.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids.
Now, make a face like it just smells something bad.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Nebraska Veterans Aid is here for veterans and dependents facing unforeseen financial emergencies. Get assistance with food, fuel, shelter, clothing, transportation, and even funeral and medical expenses. If you're a veteran facing a financial emergency, apply for Nebraska Veterans Aid through your county veteran service officer. Learn more at veterans.nebraska.gov/NVA. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Mario fue pintor más de 30 años. Cuando me dijo que se le estaban olvidando las cosas, fue difícil. Un día me dijeron que pintara el marco del lado por dentro y pinté el lado de afuera.
Yo le diría a la gente que le diga a su familia lo que está pasando con él.
Si algo se nota diferente, podría ser Alzheimer. Es momento de hablarlo. Visita alz.org/nuestras historias para saber más. Un mensaje de The Alzheimer's Association y The Ad Council.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Back to What's Brewing with Chancellor Brewington on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Powered by the Teammates Mentoring Program.
All right, welcome back in. What's Brewing? Chancellor Brewington. We got Chancellor on the Allo VIP line. Really understand the importance of exceptional service with a local heart. Talking a lot of NBA, as well as shout out Nebraska baseball. They get the biggest comeback win in their program history since 2010, coming all the way back, beating the Purdue Boilermakers with 11. I believe it finished up 11-8. It was 7-1 when I clocked in for work. So shout out to those guys for clawing back, because they absolutely do need it as they want to make sure they get into that Big Ten tournament. But Chancellor Brewington, talking a lot of NBA. We did hint at the Mavericks, and the Mavericks with a 1.8% chance they get the number 1 overall pick. Same percentage chance that my Chicago Bulls had. Unfortunately, the Bulls, they do not get it. Are we pretty much set and clear? The Mavericks, Cooper Flagg will be a Maverick with the number 1 overall pick?
Yeah, I think that's pretty consistent. I mean, just the way he has too much upside and he's already too developed not to be.
Okay, so then the question is, how good are they already? Because you do look at that roster, right? Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, and then if you throw Cooper Flagg on there as well, Klay Thompson, and then you can, whoever you want to put there at the 4, you can put Powell or Lively as well. I think he's still on that roster. How good is that team in the West, and do they pose a serious threat?
They do. I don't know about this. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's because I'm younger and I'm getting older, but I feel as if there's a lot of stars still left in the league, and there's new stars emerging. And so it's really hard for me to like differentiate like the players that used to be and the players they are now. So like when I hear like Klay Thompson, like I always like give him the nod, but it's not the same Klay Thompson and the Anthony Davis. So it's tough, but then it's awesome to see like all these new players come up, and I just don't know how they fit. I don't know how they fit into like a program like the Mavs where they have all these older stars, but you bring a young guy in there, like how does not really like the ego, but like how does, I guess you can say ego, but like how does the stardom play out? Like whose team is it, and whose team is it in 2 years, and whose team is it in 3 years, or does that just play out itself? But I think we're at like an interesting transition time in the NBA, and we've talked about this, but to where the stars we grew up with are getting older, and even like some of the newer stars in the past 10 years, like the Lukas are vets, like the Jokic's are vets, the Giannis's are vets. Even like Anthony Edwards is like kind of like a vet now. Like he's not this young pup anymore. Like, so it's just an interesting dynamic, and I think long-winded, but I think Dallas will be all right. I don't know if they're like a contender now because they get Cooper Flagg, but I think it's going to take a lot, like a deep integration process, because I feel like the more talent you have, the more integration you need. And I mean, you know that from the Heat 2011 experience, right? Like, like you're supposed to go and beat everyone, but it takes time. And I guess that's that's up for debate though.
Yeah, I think the Mavericks, that's, probably the best spot Cooper Flagg could have gone. Whether it makes them contenders or not right away, it's at least a good spot for him to go and be around, vets, some of really the best players to come to the NBA starting on that roster. I'll ask you this, though. I asked Mornay this. I'm curious what your answers are. Brewington, say you were coming you're an Arizona kid, right?
Yeah.
University of Arizona, even though I'm not the university, but number 1 overall draft pick. Give me the NBA team that is just the team you would not want to go to. Worst situation, you would, in news of, the Caleb Williams stuff resurfacing about how he didn't want to be a Chicago Bear and was, thinking about ways to get out of it. Give me that city for you in terms of the NBA that you just would not want to be drafted to. Not saying that you would or wouldn't go, but if there was one, this would be the city.
Oh man, this is a tough one. I would say, shoot, hey, you're gonna have a super productive time in the league if you go to Utah. I'll tell you what. I mean, it's just gonna be basketball.
Some church days, you'll find some time for prayer.
Yeah, it's crazy. Maybe, I mean, probably I'll throw Detroit in there.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
It's kind of like, you're going to Detroit. But I mean, other than that, I mean, am I missing one?
New Orleans. I always think New Orleans would be awful. A fun city to visit, not one I don't think you'd want to live in. And on that sorry team.
Yeah. OKC a little bit too. Like I've been OKC is not a whole bunch outside of that.
And if you tell people, I play for the pro team, they'll like glimmer and smile and they'll say the Saints and you'll say the Pelicans. And they'll be like, Who? No one cares about the Pelicans down there. Unfortunately, that's just the way I see it.
Yeah, hey, you're not wrong there. I think those are probably my top three right there.
Yeah, you could say Hornets, but that's like a nice place to be at least.
Yeah. Hornets, or I should say, because I even went to, for a second, because it's different, because like you think about the teams that like aren't so good, like Orlando, but it's Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you think about like the Charlotte Hornets, but like, dude, you're in Charlotte, like that's a beautiful city. So it is tough, because sometimes the not so good teams are sometimes in like the best cities, and maybe that's why they're not so good, because they're in such great cities.
Probably, but maybe they're linked together. Give me the most desirable city then. If you're the number 1 draft pick.
Oh my gosh, you gotta. I mean, depending on your taste, if you're, Heat or Lakers, or particularly like for me, man. I'm going financial first, so I'm going. I'm no income tax.
Oh, Miami all day.
Or Dallas. Dallas, not a bad one right there. Dallas is a beautiful place.
Yeah, that's a good one. Especially
or
with
the Rockets.
Rockets would be good. If you're thinking of the roster too, Cooper Flag probably couldn't have landed in a better spot.
Right.
Like, he's there. They can go and actually compete and win. He doesn't just have to be on a bad roster where he has to carry all the weight and feel all the pressure. He can offload some of that. Also, taxes. That's a pretty sweet deal if you're drafted to the Mavericks. It's completely different if you're, playing somewhere in California. I can say that much. All right, we got about 5 minutes left here on this segment. Chancellor Brewington, what do you want to talk about with the last 5 minutes of segment number 2?
Is there any new Nebraska Husker news from the league?
It's off season, man. There's just nothing but crickets. What we can do is there was a article that came out, and it was the top 10 toughest atmospheres in all of college football. Nebraska did make the list. We could go through that list. I'm curious where you think those top 10 colleges are.
All right, let's do it.
All right, number 10. Who do you think is the top at the number 10 toughest place in college football?
So this is to play?
Yep. Toughest atmospheres.
Let's throw Clemson in there.
No, they are not on the list. But what I will do,
God dang,
if I can actually find the correct article,
Gamecocks,
they're on that list.
Okay,
I believe.
We should. You got to have LSU should be on there. Gamecocks should be on there. Georgia should be on there. A&M should be on there. Texas should be on there. Ohio State should be on there.
Okay, I found the one that I was trying to refer to. So at number 1, they do have Tiger Stadium, LSU. At number 2, who'd you think?
I basically said, so I said Gamecocks, LSU, Georgia.
Big Ten. Give you a hint.
I said Ohio State. I don't want to say this. There's no way. Okay. Oh, I forgot. Oregon?
No. Oregon doesn't deserve to be on the list.
I don't know. They get loud.
54,000 people. Ridiculous.
Yeah. I'm not going to. There's no way Michigan's on there.
No, come on. You're missing the obvious one.
Nebraska?
No. Come on. Think of the juggernauts of the Big Ten. If it's not Michigan, Ohio State, who is it?
Oh, Penn?
Yeah, Penn State at number 2. Beaver Stadium, which makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. That I'm tripping. That was error on my part.
You're good. Number 3, they have Neyland Stadium, Tennessee. Number 4, You said it already, Kyle Field, Texas A&M. And number 5, wow, this is on the list. Autzen. They do have Oregon. I don't see what is about Oregon. Why is that to me, beautiful stadium. If you want to do toughest places to play per capita, sure. But
I think I think from what I've heard, I had a few friends who played there. I think it's the engagement.
Oh, get out of here.
No, I'm being dead serious, man. Like from what I heard, it gets so loud.
Take it off the list. I'm not buying it.
Harrison is not a believer. Are we on the text line?
Yeah, 402-464-5685. You guys want to text in if you've been to
anyone's been to an Oregon game, chime in, because I haven't experienced it for myself, but I've heard that it's pretty loud in there.
You've heard some fake news. I'm sure it's loud. I'm sure it's loud like there's 54,000 people. Not loud like top 10 loud. Just get it off the list. I'm tired of seeing it. I don't get it with Autzen. I don't. Maybe I do need to go there. But I will say this. If it's louder than I expected, that means that Nike money they're pumping some serious speaker noise through it, because there's just no way that 54,000 competes with all these 90,000 stadiums. But anyways, at number 6, I think you said it already, so I'll give it to you. Memorial Stadium, the other one, Clemson, at number 6. Number 7, Washington. At number 8, you have not said this team yet, and it is iconic. See if you can guess it. SEC.
Bama?
No, not Bama. A rival of Bama. A really vicious rival. No. Vicious. One of the most iconic games probably in college football history as well was between these two opponents. On what was supposed to be a field goal that was short and ran all the way back.
Oh, Auburn?
Yeah, Auburn at number 8. I'm okay with that one. Number 9.
I don't like the Washington.
Yeah, I mean, you've played at Washington, haven't you?
No.
Okay. Well, you haven't been there. Then you can't say it. I'm just kidding. Yeah, Washington, I just couldn't tell. On TV, it never seems like that chaotic.
If you drive by the stadium, it's huge, of course, but I don't know. It's just something about it. Maybe it's just because of the purple. I don't really like the purple. But we can move on.
Okay. He does not like the purple. At number 9, they have Florida. And at number 10, can you guess who's on the list?
Gainesville. A&M?
No, Nebraska. Nebraska all the way at 10.
Oh, they made it.
They did make this list. Yes.
I think they honestly made it because obviously the fans are great. I'm not questioning that. But I think Travis Hunter's comments kind of like hit the world.
Put it back on the map?
Bit. Yeah, because I mean, like you had there was 20. I think last year we did the list, and it was 25 places, and Nebraska wasn't on it or something like that.
Yeah, it was college football. 25 because they had to put it, some sort of numerical value so they could actually assign, how tough, quote unquote, these places are to play. And Nebraska was far from what you'd want to see. But with that being said, we'll throw it to break. Don't go anywhere. What's Brewing? Chancellor Brewington, Harrison Arns back at the studio. We'll talk to you on the other side.
Sometimes I just cannot believe all the storms we've gone through here.
I can only hope that we'll be able to leave this house to you one day, baby. You're our legacy.
Planning for these disasters will make sure we're safe, and is the best way to protect that legacy.
Protect your legacy. Visit ready.gov/plan for the tools and tips you need to start your emergency preparedness plan today. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
On the Block with Eric Strickland, Jay Foreman, and Austin Orman.
The goal for those coming on the road, let's go get that first. And then here's what'll happen. There'll be you'll kind of be lackadaisical. Instead of keeping that energy, why not two? Instead of keeping that energy, you'll probably see just a little bit more ease of play, because in the psyche, we did what we came to do.
Every weekday from 3 to 5 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
A tour. My phone was buzzing like crazy. I'm so excited. I had to text all my friends right then to talk about it. Then someone started calling me and...
Let's try that again.
I turned my phone off right away. I never drive distracted.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
I could tell something wasn't right. My buddy Jake just wasn't himself. He seemed down. I was concerned about him and asked if he was thinking about suicide.
We all have a role in preventing suicide.
Know the warning signs. They may not seem like themselves, be depressed, withdrawn, stressed, agitated, or talking about suicide. Call, text, or chat 988 for 24/7 support. Paid for by the University of Nebraska Public Policy Center, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket.
Okay, playing 93.7 The Ticket.
Alexa, turn down the lights.
Dimming the lights.
Alexa, order a pizza, the big one, all the toppings.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Alexa.
That's a lot of pizza for just one man.
Alexa, just do it. Stop judging me, just do it.
As you wish.
Thanks, Alexa. You're my best friend.
If you're a veteran, our nation has created a wide range of benefits to thank you for your service. But it can be difficult to navigate the process of determining eligibility, filing claims, appealing decisions, and securing the benefits you've earned. Speak to your County Veteran Service Officer or the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs State Service Office to see what's available to you and your family. These services are 100% free. So visit veterans.nebraska.gov today. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hi, this is Pastor Tom. Did you know there's a place kids can seek out help when they're away from home and something goes wrong? They find themselves in a difficult spot or even a dangerous situation. Maybe another child is bullying them or a stranger is following them. Perhaps on a date and things just go bad. In Lincoln, here's where they can find help. It's called Safe Place. Safe Place is a national program for children taking place in thousands of cities across the United States. The People Seeding Mission is sponsoring this program in our community and has set up a number of businesses, fire stations, schools, and nonprofits around the city to become safe locations where kids can seek out help. They just need to look for the big yellow sign that says Safe Place on it. Then go inside and ask for help. We will be quickly connected to them and ensure they make it back home or to whatever resources are needed. If you'd like to find out more about Safe Place and ways in which you can get involved, just go to pcmlincoln.org. Remember, when we all do a little, we change a lot.
A smoke-free environment is the only way to fully protect from the dangers of secondhand smoke. That's why smoke-free policies are so important to me. Whether it's in my car, apartment building, or when I'm dining outdoors, there's no place for secondhand smoke or e-cigarette aerosol. Breathe easier knowing the facts. Visit smokefree.ne.gov. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Back to What's Brewing with Chancellor Brewington on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Powered by the Teammates Mentoring Program.
All right, welcome back in. Final segment, What's Brewing? Chancellor Brewington. Got him on the Allo VIP line. And wrapping things up here, Chancellor Brewington, I'll give you the option. You want to wrap up with a little bit of Husker football or more NBA talk?
Let's go Husker football. Bring it back to the roots.
All right, we're bringing it back to the roots in a round circle of ways because it is the offseason. So give me some grace with these topics here. But going back to the well, Trey Taylor, we have seen him be an active recruiter for the University of Nebraska. Just out of curiosity, like, is this just where we're at with recruiting today? Is once you get your quarterback, if you know you want to have some success there, not that it's a prerequisite that they must do, but you know, your best recruiters are end up going to be your own quarterbacks.
Yeah, I think experience, man. Experience is like sometimes the loudest voice in recruitment, like, because it's really hard to weed through the BS sometimes with like the recruitment process. So when a player comes and like says like, oh, this is an authentic place, this is awesome, you know, like these are good people, but also like, hey, let's just be honest, the money's good, or like this, you know, like there's little stuff like that. Like it goes a long way. So I know Raul is doing it and done it, and I'm sure he was a large part why you have a projected first rounder and Eliza Pritchett on your team right now, you know, and maybe that's why Dane Key and Isaiah Hunter came, and maybe that's why Deshaun McCullough came, and maybe that's why you had some interest from, you know, some O-line, some big O linemen during that process too, some Polynesian O linemen as well. So I don't know. I think it all adds up, but it's really necessary now. I will say yes, because I mean, you get one guy to commit, and then all of a sudden he says he has a great experience, and this is the place, and they're going big places, and all of a sudden, you get some other guy interested that probably wouldn't be interested. So it's the new wave in college football, and it's good to see the guys kind of participating in that.
Do you like the new wave of college football?
Me personally, I think this aspect, like the recruiting, I think that's so fun. I think that's awesome. The part I'm probably not the biggest fan of is the entitlement going into schools now, because, you are making six figures, for some guys, your first year in college. And how does the longevity of that play out in college sports, or specifically college football? I mean, who knows? Maybe for the good, but how does that play out for 18-year-olds?
Yeah,
having to compete for a job and feeling like they don't probably have to all the time, and maybe that corrupts kind of the voice that tells you, that like pushes you to become greater, like maybe that silences that voice a little bit,
Yeah, well, I mean, I know this much, right? Like, say you come here as a freshman and you're the guy and you get $1 million like your first year, and then you end up actually fizzling out. You don't even graduate college. And no, let's even put a nicer one. You do finish college with a 4-year business degree, and you're coming off those millions of dollars in the first job they're giving you, and you look at the salary, and they're offering $50,000 for a year's worth of work. Like, yeah, that's gonna sour everything after in terms of like, especially if like the goal is money in the NFL, and then if you got to, turn the page to just a regular man's salary right out of college when you're used to making that much money. We talk about it all the time. Like, hopefully we don't have to see those, bankruptcy documentaries, but we'll have some interesting cases at the very least of guys who ran into a bunch of money, and that at the time was everything they could have imagined, and at the same time it got rid of any desires they might have had afterwards. So that's a finicky thing about it. Brewington, how much do you think you would have commanded NIL wise if it was around during your era? Because what is a football, like at least six figures?
Yeah, I mean, you probably, I don't know, I was kind of like positionless, didn't really, so I'll probably be in the six-figure. Yeah, for sure. Probably like one.
What would you have done with it? Like your younger self, you think you would have used it wisely?
Yeah, I've kind of always been like the more responsible type. I think I would have had moments, just like any kid, but I have good guidance, like parental wise. So that would have been not easy, but it would have been easier just because that. But I know there probably would have been moments, especially like going back home and, like right now, I mean, the guys are back home for, 2 weeks. Like if you're getting, $15,000 a month, like things might seem a little cheaper than they usually do, or things might seem a little sweeter, so yeah.
Well said. Just curious. Well, hopefully, more people out there like Chancellor Brewington got a little bit better head on it. I know for myself, I wouldn't have been that responsible. But that's going to wrap it up for us. Chancellor Brewington, appreciate it as always. I will talk to you again on Monday. As for everybody else, they will join you 6 a.m. Bill Bush, Steve Sipple, Jake Sorensen, he's back. Those guys will talk to you for early break at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning.
This is how we do every day. We be grinding, and if you want to come and text us,
if you love them enough to turn off your music and pretend like their music is your music.
This is my